Hi, can you hear me? Hang on, let me. I cannot hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I can hear you. You can hear me now?
Okay, awesome. It's really good.
Uh, you can hear me, right?
I can hear you now.
Yeah, cool. So thanks for joining us in the Global XR Bootcamp. So hello guys, she is Victoria. She is joining us and she is letting us know about taking the session on augmented reality. Just a second. Just a
Hello,
second.
everyone.
Yeah, Victoria, you can go start. Yeah,
Yeah,
you can share your presentation if you
I'm
want.
sorry?
You can share your presentation.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. My name is Victoria. I'm an extended reality developer. I have been developing all sorts of extended reality experiences from virtual reality to AR to projection mapping for about 5 years now. I'm an artist and I'm also a software engineer. And I am so thrilled to be doing this talk. Projection mapping is my all time favorite things in the world. So thank you so much for being here. And I hope that you enjoy the magical world of projection mapping. So now I am going to start with my talk. Projection mapping is magical. Projection mapping is delightful. And lucky for you, projection mapping is not difficult at all. You've probably had your mind blown open by projection mapping in the past without even knowing it. It's one of those very special technologies that really feels like magic. So, as I said before, my name is Victoria, and I'm here to be your guide into projection mapping. So, what exactly is projection mapping? Well, I'm glad you asked. Projection mapping, also known as video mapping and academically spatial augmented reality, is a technique that uses projected imagery to create a dynamic visual display. But before deep diving into the technicalities, let's hop into our TARDIS, rewind the clock, and take it back to the 1960s. To the 1960s for a brief history lesson. First known projection onto a non-flat surface was, shocking surprise, at Disneyland. Disney has always been pushing the boundaries of extended reality and immersive entertainment for a long time, so shout out to the mouse. It was for the Haunted Mansion ride. The ride had all sorts of unique optical illusions, such as a disembodied head, Madame Leota, and the always enjoyable Grim Grinning Ghosts, which were 5 busts that used actual footage from real singers and was projected onto the faces of the busts. It was truly spooky for its day. Next up is a piece from 1980 by Michael Nymark with his immersive film installation called Displacements. He filmed it with 2 actors on a rotating camera, and that camera was then replaced by a projector. In 1991, Disney submitted a patent called Apparatus and Method for Projection Upon Three-Dimensional Objects. TLDR, it's basically a detailed description for a system that digitally paints an image onto a contoured three-dimensional object. It's a really awesome and detailed patent, and I highly suggest checking it out if you're into that kind of thing, and I'm totally into that kind of thing. Also, the art and the diagrams describing the technology are A+++. Mwah! Totally awesome. So skipping ahead to 1998 to 1999, that's when projection mapping really started to get real. It hit academia like an atom bomb, and you know how us nerds love to deep dive on stuff. Spatial augmented reality came out of UNC Chapel Hill by Ramesh Suraskar, David Welsh, and a few others. They published a paper called The Office of the Future, which envisioned a world where projectors would cover every surface, and instead of being behind a screen, we would experience it life-sized. The imagined video projection, excuse me, they imagined video projections all over walls and all over conference halls, and it was pretty awesome. We can't talk about spatial augmented reality without talking about the man John Underkoffler. He's best known for designing the UI for Minority Report and for being the chief scientist at Oblong Industries Incorporated. But before that, he pioneered some really early work in projection mapping. He introduced the concept of the I/O bulb, the input-output bulb, which was a projector coupled with a camera that could be used that could eventually be as ubiquitous as a traditional light bulb. So now hopping back into 2020, let's get into what a projector actually is. Traditionally, projectors create an image by shining a light through a small transparent lens. But newer projectors can directly cast an image. The hyper-future stuff is virtual retina displays that projects an image directly into your retina. It's not available right now, but someday, Elon, someday. Something really important that I want to talk about are the differences between long and short throw projectors. It's something that's extremely important to know, as well as what a throw ratio actually is. A long throw projector usually requires 6 feet or more of available space between your projector and the screen in order to reach the 100-inch screen size limit. They are perfect for large halls or exhibition space applications, like business presentations, concert visuals, outdoor theater experiences, and more. If you have a large room, they're really great for home theater projectors. The further away you are, the bigger the image is. That makes it less optimal for smaller rooms and cramped spaces. A short throw projector, on the other hand, has lenses that create a much larger picture from a shorter distance. They can be used on a wall or a projection screen. The first benefit of buying a short throw is the most obvious one. There's less room between the projector and the screen, which means there's less chances of people getting in the way of the projector's light. Short throws are perfect for space-challenged experiences or small homes, like small apartments. And now for the bonus round. There are these other magical boxes called ultra short throw projectors, and they can create an image of 100 inches from only 15 inches away. The ultra short throws are usually for enterprise, like convention halls or really, really tiny apartments. The downside is that they're really, really expensive because the lenses are special. It's why they're typically reserved for just business and commercial uses. So how do I choose the kind of projector I need? Well, you need to take your entire design into consideration. Will there be a lot of people walking by? Is it a cramped space? Is it in a large hall or a concert venue? Is it outside or is it inside? It all really depends on your needs. They're all excellent for their intended purposes, so make sure to really think about throw ratios when considering a projector. So what's a throw ratio anyway? A throw ratio is what tells us what image size we can project from a certain distance away. For example, if the throw ratio is a 1.5, that means that for every 1 foot of image width, the throw distance must be 1.5 feet. The smaller the throw ratio, the larger the image will be at a shorter distance. The throw distance is the difference between a projector's lens and the projected image. Throw ratios are just math equations. The most important ones are how to find the ideal throw ratio given your setup. Throw ratio equals throw distance divided by image width, which means if you want an image that's 20 feet wide while placing it 30 feet away, you will need a 1.5 throw ratio. Now, where to place a projector given the throw ratio and projected image size? That's throw distance equals throw ratio times image width. For example, if you want to project an image that's 20 feet wide using a projector with a 1.5 throw ratio, you will need to place a projector 30 feet away. The width of the image a projector will produce given the throw ratio and distance would be image width equals throw distance divided by throw ratio. If you have a projector with a throw ratio of 1.5 and place it at 30 feet away, you'll get a 20-foot image. Understanding throw ratios is really, really important for setting up immersive experiences. It literally sets the stage. Now, moving on to something that a lot of people, including myself, overlook. That's contrast ratio. Contrast ratio is the ratio between the maximum and minimum brightness. Basically, the ratio between the brightest white and the blackest black. For example, a contrast ratio of 1001 to 1 means that the brightness of a completely white image is 1,000 times greater than the brightness of a completely black image. Projectors with a high contrast ratio, such as 100,000 to 1, have darker black levels than projectors with lower contrast ratios, such as 1,000 to 1. Higher contrast ratio produces images with more saturated colors, since the difference between black and white is greater. The lighting of your environment is the key factor in choosing your contrast ratio. If you're planning on projecting in an office space or in an area with a lot of ambient lighting, go for a low contrast ratio. If you're planning on projecting in a dark environment, a projector with a high contrast ratio would be optimal. Projectors with a higher contrast ratio, which means deeper blacks, are typically used as home cinema projectors, as the environment is usually dark and the black level is very important. Projectors with lower contrast ratios are typically business or conference room projectors, as usually those are very well lit environments. In those settings, blacks are much less of a concern. When you're mapping, you most likely aren't going to use the entire image of the projector, so in darker environments, you might see a gray rectangle around your scene. The projector is casting some light there because the contrast ratio isn't high enough. Projectors with low contrast ratios will have a better price per lumen, but remember that in dark settings, you'll probably see the gray rectangle. Remember, a high contrast ratio, 100,000 to 1, means darker blacks, and a low contrast ratio, 1,000 to 1, means brighter, more visible gray blacks. Other really important projector features are resolution. This refers to how big the projected image you're looking at is. Some projectors have the standard 480p or 480i native resolution that could be blown up to 1080p and 9020 times 2080 pixels. The bigger the native resolution, the better and more detailed the results are. You can go up to 4K or 4096p if you want. Aspect ratio. Long story short, aspect ratio is a difference between the height and length of the screen. For example, aspect ratio CRTs have a square shape, wherein for every 4 inches of length, there's 3 inches of height in screen size terms. HD TVs have a 16:9 aspect ratio, and widescreen TVs used for slideshow presentations instead of feature films are 16:10. Brightness. How bright the projector is. Brightness is measured in lumens. Certain projectors have low brightness, so you can only view them in low light or no ambient light, no daylight or light bulbs nearby situations. Others you can view in daylight or outdoors, such as the case in backyard movie nights. You need at least 2500 lumens to project in daylight. Lens zoom. Lens zoom is a way for you to manipulate or adjust your projector's picture or projection in case the image is too large or too small for it. Normally, you do your adjusting by moving the projector around until it's at the right distance according to its throw ratio. However, if you can't do that because you got a smaller screen or the ceiling mount has already been installed, you could use the projector's lens zoom feature. Simply shrink the projection at will. Keystone correction. When you project an image or video at an angle, the result is usually a keystone-like trapezoid. If you can't move the projector from its position, you can correct the trapezoidal shape by using the keystone correction feature on your projector if it has one. Warning though, the more keystone correction you do, the more the resulting projection's resolution will be affected, resulting in possible jagged lines, pixelation, artifacts all over the digital image. Now, let's move on to some software. So how do we actually get the pretty images on these white objects? Well, there's a lot of software out there, but today I'm going to briefly cover Lightform and MadMapper. So, Lightform. If you're looking for simplicity and fast setup time, Lightform is for you. You can get it in two flavors, the LF2 and the LFC. The LF2 is a tiny all-in-one unit. It's the Lightform and a projector. It's great for home use and small indoor installations. It's full HD at 9020 by 1080 and only 1,000 lumens. The LFC, you could use almost any projector with it. And it comes with a tiny computer that you could run Lightroom Creator. It comes with the Logitech Brio, which is a 4K camera, and some mounts. Both the LF2 and the LFC come with a copy of Lightroom Creator, and Lightroom Creator allows you to 3D scan an area and design mapping within Lightroom Creator. It comes with a variety of out-of-the-box effects, and you're able to import your own images, videos, and effects. If you're familiar with Photoshop, there's vector drawing tools, and Creator allows you to have layers so you can blend things to create unique visuals. Now, MadMapper is heavy duty. There's a lot of options available, especially for stage productions. Lightroom Creator is excellent for home and small installations, but if you want to link up MIDI, DMX lighting, open sound control, and projection mapping for a grand stage experience, MadMapper's for you. You can also link multiple projectors to extend your field of view within the software. MadMapper also comes with out-of-the-box effects and allows you to import your own images, videos, and effects as well. Additionally, you could hook up a live camera feed, including an OBS feed, so you can projection map your live streams if you want. Another fun thing about MadMapper is that you could create your own custom generative effects within the software, and it comes with templates that you could use to just fool around with if you're new to this kind of stuff. The software needs to be continuously running on your machine, unlike Lightform, which can be uploaded directly onto the device. But you can purchase something called a Minimad, which is a Raspberry-based computer, which will host your files for you. If you're an enthusiast that just wants to have something cool for the holidays to impress your friends and neighbors, I'd recommend the LF2. If you're wanting something for permanent, semi-permanent installations that require a heavy-duty projector, the LFC is up your alley. If you want to do something wild with multiple projectors, MIDI, OSC, DMX, as well as get your hands really dirty with some more complex software, MadMapper is definitely for you. I apologize. I'm going too quickly on my talk. All right. Okay. So now the next one. Excuse me. Next one is some design tips. So my first design tip is to choose your canvas wisely. It really depends on the type of look that you want. You can have a plain white background, kind of like this one, or use a translucent background. They both give different feels to your experience. The translucent background allows light to seep through it and gives off an ethereal feel. It's always fun to play around with all types of materials to see the kind of thing that you like and what's best per project. Next advice is interesting content is king. You can have images, videos, and generative effects. I personally love layering different things. I recommend using your favorite illustration or photo editing software to create something that's visually compelling, interesting, and unique. Alternatively, you can also hop into VR and draw something in Tilt Brush or create models in Poly or Gravity Sketch or Adobe Medium, whichever one that you want. So you could do something like really interesting and unique and blend in all kinds of XR. Or you could get really technical and start making your own generative effects using OpenGL shading language. All of that is available to you. My next tip is to extend your field of view using stage lighting. Something I found to be interesting and useful is adding some stage lights to artificially extend your field of view. It's something that needs to be integrated into your design from the start, But if you do integrate it into your immersive experience, play around with the lighting and see what you can come up with. There's a lot that can be done. And my last piece of advice is don't be afraid to be different. Projection mapping is all about being an artist and being creative. It's highly technical, but it's mostly the wow factor. It's mostly to make lifeless things look beautiful. So be as creative as you want. Do stuff that's weird. If you think it might not work, if you think it's strange, do it anyway. It might actually be like one of the coolest things that you come up with. Yeah, and that is it for the basics of projection mapping. Yeah, I guess my talk was a lot shorter than I intended, but yeah. Thanks for coming to my talk. Are there any questions, comments, anything that you'd like to discuss? Yeah, I'm here.
Hi, Victoria. So, are you over with the presentation?
Oh, yes, I just finished.
Okay, nice. So, I hope, okay, guys, if you have any question, you can post it on comments so we can get the question. So, Victoria can answer them. So, Victoria, we would also like to get your journey, how you have proceeded till here, and what are the struggles you have made. It will be great as an audience to watch and listen to you.
Oh my God. Okay, let's talk about struggles. Today, huge struggle. So I decided that I wanted to use Lightform for my talk today instead of MadMapper because, as I had explained, with MadMapper, unless you have a mini Mad, you have to keep it running on your machine. But I wanted to have my machine act as a teleprompter. And so I didn't want to have a lot of things running because I didn't want MadMapper to get weird. I didn't want things to just kind of get because it happens sometimes when your computer slows down. The effects will sometimes just get jittery and weird. I don't want that. So I tried to go with the Lightform. Well, something that I found out today, I spent hours making a really, really long and detailed presentation, like basically a PowerPoint, but projection maps. Like this was supposed to have all sorts of like illustrations and diagrams, like the diagrams for the patent, the Disney patent, which was so freaking cool. Really wanted to show those pictures. So sad that I couldn't. And then also videos from that first, projection mapped experience from 1980, which is really cool too. But unfortunately, I found that Lightform Creator crashes when I tried to render the project and upload it onto the Lightform compute. So I was very sad that I couldn't have this like wonderful experience that I'd spent so many hours curating and mapping and doing. So yeah, that's definitely a struggle that I had just today, where all
Okay.
of my Lightform files have been typically smaller. They've consisted of, I want to say, maybe at maximum like 5 or 6 slides. But this one was something like 20 slides, right? And a lot of different generative effects and a lot of like weird stuff. So yeah, I didn't expect it to crash that way. I'm a little sad that I could only get one slide up and running, which is not even like the coolest slides. It's just
No
the
problem.
one that I was able
We
to
really
upload.
enjoyed.
Yeah. But yeah, so I guess something that I learned doing this is keep Lightform files as small as you can, really, because there's a high possibility that if you try to make something that's extremely long, it'll just go on you. So yeah, keep it as simple as you can with as minimum slides as you can so that it could work properly and do what it needs to do. MadMapper typically doesn't have that problem. But yeah, just make sure that you have either a machine that could run MadMapper as well as other things, or just leave a machine running MadMapper and just like, cool, there you go, do your thing. And occasionally come back and check that it didn't crash on you. But of course, if you're doing it for a stage show, for example, if it crashes on you, everyone's gonna know.
True.
So yeah,
So I think there's no question from the audience. So it was really great session by you, and we really enjoyed it.
thank you.
Thanks, Victoria. So hope to see you soon again. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Good
much.
day.
It's been an honor and a pleasure.
Thank you.